All right, well, welcome everybody. I thought my voice was better. Just some housekeeping stuff. Did change the agenda a little bit to add the discussion on the fall meeting topic. We had talked about having a survey in place, and Gail was just talking about that we don't have survey 123 for the organization yet. So we'll add that to the agenda unless anybody has any issues with that. As far as feedback on the board packet, I didn't really get anything going on the board packet till today or yesterday. I apologize for that. But I did see that Nate went ahead and created a board packet folder for this month and put all the financial information. So you all have the ability to do that. I really appreciate, Nate, that you went ahead and did that and added that information. I took a look at that this afternoon and really appreciated you sharing that. Is there any other revisions to the agenda? Not hearing any revisions. I would have discussion on the minutes. Is there any discussion on the minutes, or is there a motion to approve the minutes?
A motion to approve the minutes.
There's a motion from Mike Powell to approve the minutes. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second from Nate. It's been motioned and seconded. Is there any discussion on the minutes? Hearing no discussion, all those in favor of approving the minutes, please state aye.
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 All those who would oppose approving the minutes, same sign. All right, the minutes were approved unanimously. All right, if I can say that word. All right.
Hey, Jeff, I got a quick question.
Sure, go ahead, Mike.
When you brought up that we don't have survey 123,
Yes.
don't we have that? I mean, we have a password and stuff for it.
We have Survey Monkey when we have the password for that, but
That's my bad then.
yeah. We need to get the ArcGIS Online account going for the organization, and I was going to talk to Michelle about that.
Got it.
So
Thank you.
you're welcome. And this is just coming in. And I was going to talk to Michelle about that. Is Michelle here? I don't see her yet.
Hello.
Hi, Tessa.
How's it going?
Going all right. We are we just approved the minutes, so
Sorry for being a few minutes late.
no problem. With that, let's go on to reports. Nate, could you give the treasurer's report?
Yeah. So I've paid the July invoice to Full Scope, and this was our first payment under their new contract. So it was for the amount of $1,727. That is up from what we have been paying them monthly, which was $1,677.25. So not much of a change there. I noticed all three grant checks have gone through. The one for Sentinel, the Smith, and then for Belgrade. So those have all been cashed and to who they need to get to. Also in the board packet, I included a summary of the actual revenue and expenses we saw for fiscal year 2023. And so if you want to look at that in detail, there's a PDF saved there. Overall, we had a net positive revenue of $4,426.05 last year. So that was good to see. And currently in savings, we have $49,585.71. And in checking, we have $5,505.53. And that is it.
Thank you, Nate. Nate's got all the new budget stuff put together. So we're into the new budget year. Thank you all for passing that last month. Yeah, thank you, Nate. We'll move on to scholarships and grant updates. Rob just said that he wouldn't be here today, or didn't expect he could, so I've got the notes he provided. He said there's not much to report on the scholarship and grant committee, except he did reach out to Sarah Tabor at Belgrade High School to ask about the check. As Nate indicated, she did get it and she cashed it. He made himself available for a consultation on her project and also suggested scheduling a flight before the plant she wished to map dry up. She doesn't think, or he doesn't think that's happened yet. And that's all he had for reports there. Any questions on it or comments on Rob's report? Okay, moving on to member development. Mike. Mike Item, are you there?
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Okay, sorry. I just got a new computer, so still working out all the bugs. Yeah, I don't have a ton to report. I sent out an email to the board, I think a week or two ago about maybe setting up a survey of some sort to get projects from our membership that we could share on social media. I don't know if anybody had a chance to think about that or if you saw the email. And I guess that kind of goes with the discussion of which survey software we'll be using. And I could design a survey and have them upload links or pictures, and we could work out those details as needed.
Mike, yeah, I did get your email. I saw the survey. I just in the busyness of everything, didn't get around to filling anything out. I apologize for not getting that out. I will, or getting back to that anyway. I don't know if everybody else was able to see that. And Mike, have you got any responses on it or on the survey?
No, I don't know. Was it sent to everybody or was it just to you?
It might have just been sent to me, and I'm not sure that I got back to you on it. So I'll take a look at that email.
Well, anyway, Alicia was looking for additional content to share on our social media pages, and she thought it would be a good idea to showcase the membership's work that they've been doing this summer or previous projects. And I thought a survey might be a good idea to get that information from them to share with Alicia if the board thinks that's a good idea.
Yeah, Mike, this is Mike Powell. I do remember seeing the email. It was not a survey for the email. It was just, you were just talking about maybe setting one up to send out to the membership about this. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Right, that's what I thought. Okay. No, it's a good idea, I think. But again, yeah, it depends on how or what survey you want to use for this.
Yeah.
Well, I will definitely get a meeting scheduled with Michelle so that we can go ahead and work on getting ArcGIS Online set up and then move over to survey 123 for our surveys and make sure, as the Hillary had in the minutes, that we get everything archived at a SurveyMonkey as well. So.
Sounds good. Yeah, that's about it for me. Looks like Alicia has been posting regularly on social media, and yeah.
Is she keeping track of her times now, or because this is basically her slow time of the year for us anyway? And I know that was a contentious little area that we had full scope with when we were deciding the contract and stuff. Is she keeping track of her hours now, or?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
Michael and Michelle were going to be having her do that. That's something I'll check in with Michelle as well.
Okay. All
right. The only other thing I had to add, Mike, was I I have been working with Bobby Johnson, talking with Mike Powell and a few others today, on getting the Billings meetup going. I think we're going to try to shoot for having that on the 31st of August, instead of the date that we had listed there. I didn't have any feedback from the rest of the board on any questions on the meetup itself. And so under the new policy, that essentially counts for a vote to approve it. So I did go ahead and let Bobby know that it's been approved. In talking with Mike today and talking with a couple others, we may want to move the date from the 31st and maybe the location too. So I'll be working with Bobby on that this week. Anyway, Mike, I will make sure and get you that information so that we can start putting out advertisements on that once we've decided everything, and so that we can get as many people attending that as possible.
Sounds great.
Okay. All right, moving on to the conference committee, Eric.
All right, hi everyone. Don't really have any updates to report, but I did have some things sort of wanted to get the ball rolling on. Jeff, I remember you had mentioned getting someone from Esri to be the keynote, and I was wondering if you had reached out to anyone there.
No, I haven't. I have it on my list to do, but I haven't gotten to it yet. Sorry, Eric. So,
Okay, no, if you'd like, I could take that off your list and I could reach out.
yeah, that'd be great. Janice, who I'd been talking to there, so I don't know if you've got Jan or Shane's contact information, Jan Cunningham or Shane Clark's contact information, but I can get that to you.
Okay, I should, but if you could send it over just in case, that'd be great.
All right, I will do that.
And then I was also wondering if we had selected anyone to be the conference chair, like Zach was for us last year.
Yeah, Jeff.
Or
Well, that was basically going to be Jeff and me. This is Mike again, Mike Powell. Just because we are in the town, so we figured we'd be the ones that'll be the local chairs.
okay, perfect. I thought we had discussed that, but I just wanted to make sure of that. And then last was I was going to try to find some time, maybe a weekend, and Jeff and Mike all coordinate with you to swing by Billings and have a look at the venue.
Yep, that'd be really good.
Yep, I was going to contact you about that and didn't get that done either. So.
Okay, yeah, I'm hoping to set up a week sometime in September. I mean, end of October by the latest.
If you could do it before we have our, because I know you mentioned that you're not going to be able to attend the retreat, but so if we could do it beforehand, maybe that would be, I think that would be better if that's a possibility.
Okay. It might be, yeah. I'll look through my
schedule. Yeah.
I'll look through my calendar this afternoon, and I'll make that a priority to figure out a date.
Yeah, I think it'd be a good idea before a retreat. Then when we're at the retreat, we can discuss a few things and maybe take some notes from what you've seen, and take it to the retreat as well. To talk to Michelle about it and everything. So.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, I'll find a date to do that. And it looks like I can.
I mean, you're not doing anything but schoolwork. I mean, come on.
Yeah, unfortunately, that Wednesday is pretty loaded up. But I think I definitely should be able to make it work before the retreat.
Cool, that'll be good.
And then yeah, so I it's all the updates I had, and I think kind of now into early September is just a bit of planning, and then end of September and early October is when we really start to get things moving on this. So
yeah, Michelle had mentioned last month that she was putting together the folks, the volunteers that would be the committee to help plan the different parts of it, both the workshops and the conference itself. she had a few people respond to it. I'm not sure what her status is on getting everybody set up for those committees for you, Eric. So
Okay, I can reach out to Michelle and see where she's at with that.
she's actually just joining right now. So
Oh, perfect.
hey, Michelle. Michelle, are you there?
Maybe she's just getting on. Well, I can.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yep.
Oh, I was trying to unmute myself and it was making me, you know, when it says this meeting is being recorded and you have to hit got it. I hadn't hit that yet. So sorry, I'm late, you guys. I was stuck on another meeting.
No problem. A couple of just things for updates for you. I need to get a meeting set up. We had a meeting set up for last week. It just didn't work out, but a meeting set up with you to go through the details of switching over from SurveyMonkey to Survey 123 ArcGIS Online. So we'll get something set up, Michelle, to work through all those details and archive the information off of SurveyMonkey that we discussed last month. And then Eric was just giving an update on the conference. Wanted to know the conference chairs are. Mike Powell and I are going to chair that together for Billings, and Eric is going to try to get out here sometime soon to get a tour of the Northern to take a look at the facilities. And you have an update on, you have enough people that have volunteered for the different committees, the conference committee, the workshop committees on that?
Yeah, I need to follow up on that. I've actually been out of the office for most of the last couple of weeks, so I need to gather myself back around that. But when I sent that initial email out, I got pretty good response. There were a couple people that are not going to be able to stay on. The other people that did respond said they would stay on. And then as far as a workshop committee, is that Haley, or who was the technical committee? Is that the same person?
Tessa.
Or Tessa?
Yeah.
Do we have a separate workshop committee chair, or is it you, Tessa?
It's just me, as
Okay.
far as I know. Yeah.
Okay, just wanted to make sure.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think we're good, Jeff. I might circle that email back around just to confirm if there's anybody that, you know, may have been out of the office that didn't get a chance to respond, that they still wanted to participate. And then certainly if you and Mike have anybody else there in Billings that wants to hop on from that local committee, that would be great too.
I have a couple contacts, but I don't, she's expressed that she doesn't really want to be involved, but she's more willing to help me out getting stuff going. So she'll be on off to the side kind of thing, but that's what I got so far.
Yeah, I've got one person in the same boat. She's interested in helping, but not sure that she can make the time commitment to be there every month, and then we
Right.
So
yeah, even just a couple people, like, and Eric, I'm sure can attest for this, but a couple people that can help, you know, maybe round up some local sponsors or some of those door prizes or raffle items and that kind of thing, that, you know, those people don't necessarily need to be on the meetings every month, but it's just helpful to have local people doing those things.
yeah, Mike, Michelle Needham's volunteered to do exactly that. She's been in the community a long time, and she would like to do that. So she's the land management coordinator for the city of Billings. So she's on the GIS team here.
Great.
I'll get you.
Awesome. Yeah, so as far as that goes, it's all the updates and questions I had.
All right. Thank you, Eric. Moving on, Tessa, technical committee.
All right. Well, not much going on as of yet. I'm kind of gonna start bugging Jason quite a bit here now that I've kind of settled in and found some of my stuff anyway. But yeah, I think the next month is just kind of asking him questions, and sounds like I have some committee members from Michelle coming my way, possibly. So that's awesome. I was wondering when I need to like start working on that kind of stuff. So if I have some, that's great. And yeah, just kind of waiting until we have our fall retreat, just to kind of, get moving. So yeah.
Yep. You'll have a
Not
whole
much else.
breakout session, Tessa.
Yeah. Okay. Sounds good. But yeah, nothing as of yet that I have to report on, but it's coming.
Okay.
Thank you, Tessa. Any other questions, comments there? All right, we'll move on to the web subcommittee. Megan?
I got no news here. Do you want to wait till new board business?
Yes.
Perfect.
Yep.
Thank you.
All right. Eric, I know MLAC doesn't technically exist anymore. Do you have any updates on where the governor's going with the replacement?
I haven't heard anything. Our last meeting was, like I said, it was June. We are scheduled. The calendar does show us having a meeting Friday, September 15th. And as far as I know, the board appointments are still open. It's interesting why you guys were, I just finished another previous call earlier, and I've spent some time looking to find where the Montana board's website is now, and it's underneath the governor's office website. So I'm gonna see about prettying up my resume and my cover letter, and I'll resubmit my name. We'll see if that goes anywhere again. But yeah, I haven't heard one way or the other where things are with the appointments on that one yet. I don't know if Megan, if you've heard anything being in the office there.
I have not heard anything.
All right. So, but yeah, so and
the
website, I'm sorry, go ahead, Mike.
I was under the impression you weren't re-upping.
I'm back and forth. So if you've submitted your name, let me know, and then I won't submit mine.
No, not yet.
Do we know
I think,
what
like
the
I said,
new name is? Sorry.
pardon?
Do we know what the?
Yeah, it's MGAC, the Montana Geospatial Advisory Committee.
Okay, thank you.
And I've heard MGIA. So
Oh, I like MGAC better.
it's like yak.
Yak. What would AI, Montana Geospatial Advisory? What were you saying, Megan?
MGIA, but
Montana Geospatial Information Advisory?
yes, I think.
Oh, okay.
But don't hold me to that either.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought it was the Montana Geospatial Advisory Committee, or it's been so while. I just I just put all my notes from our last meeting off to the side. So I don't want to keep us longer because I know you guys have, you have a lot of stuff you want to cover. So, but yeah, if you're interested in serving, here, I'll drop does Zoom have a chat?
Yep.
You'd think I'd remember all this stuff, but I've been in more in-person meetings lately than not. So there's the boards and appointments. So a big orange button that says apply now.
Well, I'll check with Aaron and see if we need to be giving an update at that meeting. I haven't heard anything. I haven't seen anything come across my email.
Yeah, no, it's September. Let me see here again. It is on the calendar. They have September 15th.
Okay.
So.
All right.
And in the agenda, everything, it still says to be determined. So.
All right. Sounds good.
Yeah, you need an up-to-date resume, a cover letter, and optional letters of recommendation. So, which
I appreciate you going forward with that. Thank you, Eric.
Yep.
See what the governor does. I would expect he'd go with, yeah, I don't know.
I don't know. I was, like I said, they must have had plenty of local government reps because they had called me and asked if I'd serve on the professional GIS side of things. And at that time I had agreed, I didn't have a problem with it. So yeah, so I don't know where it's at with anything else, but that's basically it.
Thank you.
Yep.
Michelle, administration.
Again, not a whole lot to report. Eric, I don't know if Eric Schreier's still on. Was going to reach out to you just to find out when you wanted to schedule the first conference planning committee meeting. And then Jeff, I know that you and I need to meet. It sounds like about the survey now, but I think we were also going to touch base on just the agenda and items for the strategic planning.
Yep.
In September.
Yep.
Michelle, what's your schedule look like? Would it be possible for you to join us? I mean, if I told Eric, if he's still not on, I don't know, that it would be probably a good idea for him if he could make the visit out to Billings to see the Northern before the retreat. I mean, is that something that you can join him with, or?
Yeah, maybe. Are you, do you have any potential dates out there already?
No, Eric was going to take a look at his schedule and see if he can get that to work before the retreat, which it sounded like he could. He just needed to look at his calendar.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh yeah, hi. I'm on. I was just
Okay.
Michelle, maybe you could send me if you wanted to join, what dates would work best for you. And then in regards to the schedule, for the conference meetings, we could just try sticking with the same schedule that we had for last year if most people are going to be the same. I mean, I'm not sure how many people confirmed with you that they're staying on or leaving, but
yeah, and I feel like that schedule seemed to work for the majority of people, so maybe we just stick with that. And I don't know if we want to have one. I mean, August is already getting away from us, but maybe we could schedule our first one for September, at least an initial introductory meeting before the strategic planning as well.
yeah, maybe an end of September.
Okay.
One, or I mean, that might be too soon. Or if we do end of September, it would just, then have the next one end of October as well.
Yeah, I don't think it's ever too soon to start, at least to start talking about theme, and because I think the sooner we can even get a theme and just save the date out, like the sooner the better on that, just because there's other conferences that people get on their calendars. So yeah, I think the earlier the better, but I can talk to you separately about that, and then we can coordinate some dates to run up to Billings as well. Okay, perfect. Because the strategic planning, remind me the dates of that, Jeff. Is it the 21st and 22nd?
19th and 20th.
19th and 20th. Okay.
Tuesday, Wednesday.
Okay. Yeah, we'll make something work. I'd like to come look at it again anyway, just to refresh my memory.
All right. Sounds great. Anything else on the administration side of things, Michelle?
I don't think so right now.
I don't see Andrew on the list of people attending. Was there anybody that attended the last local government SIG? Give an update what's going on there. I know that Andrew had mentioned about switching to less often due to just having enough time to develop content. Any discussion there?
Yeah, I guess that probably just the most important thing is that Andrew is still working on the survey that we had talked about. Eric Spangenberg and I had worked to help put together like a list of questions. And then that was when Tommy Luksha left and kind of left it up in the air. And it was like, what are we going to do with this? And there's this big question again, going back and forth, whether it's SurveyMonkey or Survey 123. I think, and Eric, you could probably attest to this, I think it's pretty clear that Andrew has the questions in line now. We just need to have a platform for him to be able to send it. So there is a meeting. I think he said it's in 5 days. I think he's really struggling to find speakers, and part of that could just be trying to like figure out the content and such. And I don't know if anybody on this platform would be willing to speak or offer their guidance, but definitely feels like we're floundering a little bit on that front. I don't think that he has a speaker set up for this upcoming meeting, but I think that getting the survey out would definitely make a difference. So, and then Eric, go ahead and.
Oh, I was just going to add to what Gail said. He does have it calendared for next Thursday, the typical time, 2 p.m. I haven't looked to see if there was agenda attached to that or not, to be honest. I don't recall. But I think after we met at 1 o'clock today. I think Gail, we all had consensus that, you know, he has a good set of questions and he just really needs to get that sent out sooner than later. And whether he uses our Survey Monkey or whether we use Survey 123, at this point in time, I don't think it really matters. I think it just needs to be sent out so that folks out there in the Magip sphere can provide some feedback. You know, because we've spent quite a bit of time in the local government thing, you know, dealing with next gen 911 issues, redistricting information, you know, a lot of things like that. And a lot of that stuff is, you know, it's all good, but we want to try and make sure that we reach and hit all the various factions of local government, not just, you know, your county folks that are dealing with those bigger things like that. They, or, you know, are those things that are more impactful on that side of GIS than, you know, on the city side. And on the city side, we want to deal with asset management. We want to deal with some of the planning things. I know there's new planning regulations coming down the line that people want to be aware of. And so this needs to, he just needs to get it out so that he has a better idea. And this was actually something that Tommy was pushing prior. I mean, so this isn't something where that Andrew was suddenly left going, hey, who do I have? It was a case that even Tommy was starting to go, okay, we need more topics. We want to have topics that interest everyone. So so that's where it's at. We do have it calendared to meet next week, Thursday at 2 o'clock. So that's out there. And hopefully we'll get some good feedback and we can drive this thing. And you know, even if it's a topic that may not be of interest to me, I still have some valuable learning points at any of these things. You know, it's still, you know, maybe it's something that they're going to talk about the planning issues. Well, I don't get involved with that, but I still want to be aware of it so that I have the right questions to ask my planning departments. Hey, what do you need from us? Type of thing. So, yeah, but yeah, you know, Gail's right. He just needs to find which platform to send it out on. So.
Well, if we want to do it right away, I don't think there's any problem with doing it on Survey 123 or Survey Monkey. We're paying for that.
Yeah. Okay.
So if you want to use that platform, I don't have any problem with that. And do you all have the username and password to get into that, or do you want me to get that?
You know what? We'll just either myself or Gail will just drop them an email and just say, you know, looks like at this point in time to put the survey out sooner than later, it will need to go out by a Survey Monkey, and then we'll let him reach out to whomever it is that he might need to contact regarding, I don't know if Jeff Hedstrom or who might have that information.
There's a board document out there.
Okay.
That's got all that information on it. I can provide it. Michelle can provide it.
Okay.
So, yep.
Are you sure his meeting's on the 24th and not the 17th?
Well, I have it on my calendar for the 24th.
Okay.
You know, maybe unless he pulled it back out on me.
Well, I mean,
17th. I'm sorry. You're right. You're right. It is the 17th. I was looking at the wrong thing. I was looking at a summary of a week, and I just assumed that was next week's summary. No, you're right. It's this Thursday.
Okay.
My mistake. Sorry about that. That's what happens when I was just had an email open and it was only showing, or in the window I was looking at was just showing me a week summary, and I didn't pay attention. I just saw Thursday and assumed it was the 24th. I've got something else going on the 24th that I have that day in my head already. So
I just want to make sure everybody knew that it was what day it was on. So
2 days from now,
I was gonna say,
this Thursday.
I was questioning myself because I think at the end of the slideshow, I have it on the 17th, so.
That's good. Well, then it's doubled up.
All right.
And FYI, I was just on the board's page here. They don't show that the MLAC is open yet for people to submit to, so
Okay,
that's their why.
thank you, Eric. Anything else on local government? All right, we'll move on to the LiDAR SIG. The LiDAR SIG, I have reached out to Keith Weber, and I think it's Jessica Collins as well. We're looking at, I had on the 24th as a tentative date for the SIG, but it looks like the 28th is probably going to be the only day that works for Keith this month. I've been trying to reach out to Jessica, but she's on vacation, so hopefully I'll be able to get that scheduled this month. The topics that we've identified for that is what is LiDAR, derivative products, how do you give input on specifications when acquiring data, reviewing of acquisition process, just lessons learned there, contributing funding to an acquisition project that allows you to get input on the development of specs and enhance the process, and discuss previous and future out of the box derivatives that can be available via the Montana State Library. There's a lot there. Probably maybe want to cull that back a little bit. Maybe we got enough there for a couple of sessions. But anyway, both Keith and Jessica have expressed their willingness and desire to be part of this SIG. So that was really good. Thank you all for providing them contact. I really needed those contacts, and they've been very helpful. Any questions, comments, concerns on that? All right, moving on. So the fall Magip meeting, Gail, we had discussion last month about a survey with Andrew. Can you discuss any updates that you might have on the fall Magip meeting?
I apologize. I don't have any updates on that.
Okay.
Somehow that fell off my radar. I think that having Tessa get on board and getting her onboarded is just kind of consumes my time. I guess I have a comment about the discussion that we had at the last meeting, because at the last meeting, it sounded like there was concern that we were doing the same thing that had been done previously, and that people were starting to get burnt out because of everything that we're already doing with regard to the spring conference. And that kind of led me to think that our next steps should be to reach out to Esri, and I believe his name is Raid, and talk to him about a potential point person that could take the lead, somebody that's apart from the Magip board already. And I'd really kind of like to get people's sense of that, because that was kind of how I read the room, that we've already got a lot on our plates. And if we're going to have a fall Magip meeting, we're going to need to have some other people to support that.
Are we talking about the technical session?
Yes. Sorry, I poorly worded this slide. So yeah, it's the technical session where you and Jan and folks had talked to Raid. And Gail, in my opinion, you hit it perfectly. That we just need to find that champion outside of this group to move that forward.
All right, well, go ahead, Mike. Sorry.
Well, I was just going to say, absolutely. I mean, this was, I mean, I got the impression that this is something that if somebody wanted to do something somewhere say Miles City or whatever, great, contact us. We can help get some contact people involved and we can really move this forward and stuff, but we do not have the time to be managing a whole nother tech session kind of thing. You know, actually somebody else on the outside to want this.
Yeah, okay, then I guess what I would say for this meeting is that my next steps will be to reach back out to Ray and I hope I'm saying his name right, sorry.
No, I think you are.
Okay, and Jan, and I feel like he is the point person to help us to get a champion for the east side of the state, or even somebody centrally that could help to work on that fall technical session. And I do think that the other points that came out of that last meeting were that, and from talking with others since that meeting, is that asset management really seems to be where we need to focus the training, and that potentially, and I was hoping to have a conversation with Erin before we spoke, and I missed her. I wasn't able to meet up with her at the Ezra UC. So, but she will be at our city manager SIG that we're going to have September 11th. And I really want to put this in front of her because it does sound like for us to be able to really make this be productive, it's going to involve potentially some funding from the state to help maybe get some grants or something going, but also input from the state to figure out what those small communities really need. That's all I have.
No, I think that's good stuff, Gail. Thank you. Just let us know if you when you want to be back on the agenda with this discussion, when you've got updated information to talk to us, and I'll
Okay.
get it on the whatever agenda you want. So,
are we meeting again before the get together that we're having in Anaconda?
Well, actually, we'll be talking about that next. There is a board
okay.
as part of the strategic planning session, so we'll get into that. So
okay.
So does anybody have any more discussion on this technical session work that Gail's been heading up?
I have one more question, if I may.
Sure.
If we're able to identify a point person, what would be considered acceptable for including them in our conversations? Is that somebody that needs to come to the board meeting? Is that some sessions that we need to have separately? What does that look like to everybody?
I feel like that'd be something separate, but they can certainly join us at our board meetings, but I have a feeling, I think that would be something that would be separate, that would be more focused on just that thing alone. I mean, we can't just spend an hour of our board meeting talking about that. So I would think that would need a special meeting on its own kind of thing. That's my opinion.
I think we could flesh that out at the strategic planning retreat. But I do think it would be good to have an update, maybe not every month, but occasionally from that person to once that champion is identified to understand what's going on with the work they're doing. And it also could be what person on the board would that fit under too as a contact person? Would that be outreach? Would it be a conference, one of the conference or the conference representative, the technical workshop representative? Where does it fit under the board structure as far as supervision?
Okay, thank you.
So, all right. Okay. Any other discussion? All right, moving on to the strategic planning retreat. So where is it? Anaconda, the 19th and the 20th. We'll get into what we want to discuss. I so far have Rob, myself, Mike Powell. I think I've got confirmation you're coming. Gail, got you coming. Hillary's coming. Tess, I think I've heard you're coming. Is that correct?
Yep, I'll be there.
All right, Michelle and Mike, I think you both gotten back to me and let me know. I had a hard time finding it in my emails today. Is that everybody so far that I've said you all are planning to attend?
Yes.
All right, and I've heard.
Yeah, I'll be there. I was switching jobs, so I had to get approval.
Okay. Congratulations on that. By the way, too, Mike. So.
And
Thanks.
I haven't responded yet, but I plan to attend. Too.
Okay. So Nate, I have no's from Eric Schreier and Megan. And I think the only other person is Eric Spangenberg.
Right.
All right.
Oop, I just dropped that into the chat. I won't be able to make it. So.
Okay. All right. So I think with Nate's information, I've got a pretty good idea of who's going to be there. Move on to the next slide. This is just essentially the framework that Mike had put together last year for the strategic planning session. So we'll start on the 19th, have some sort of group activity icebreaker that's been traditional for the strategic planning meeting. We'll work through our accomplishments and what's the other document, Mike?
Work plan.
Work plan. Mike and I talked about that last year. He put everything together. We talked about the possibility of just kind of working through that information as part of the session. Do you all expect to have a document to work off of, or is that something you're okay with just developing as part of the strategic planning retreat?
My 2 cents is that we should probably have something laid out so that we have something to start with. So we're not starting from scratch, or else we're going to be there all day doing that.
Okay. All right. I'll work on getting that put together. We'll have lunch. Michelle, I think that don't we have the ability to have lunch either catered in from the Forge or the nearby restaurant that's right on the property?
Yeah, Barclay too is connected to the property, so we can have it brought in or we can go over there and eat.
Okay. When we meet, let's talk about the snacks and food for that and getting that all laid out.
Okay.
Shrimp cocktail for sure. You're gonna get.
Yeah.
Yeah, I believe you or the lady, I forget her name, sent me a whole menu on what they have available there at the Forge. It was a lot of options to pick from. So
yeah, there was.
If you all have any dietary concerns or anything like that, just shoot me an email, give me a call, whatever, or Michelle, and we'll make sure that we have all that stuff set up so that we've got food for everybody. Next was the board meeting. I just went ahead and, since the board meeting was already planned for the 19th, that's what we have on the schedule already, to just do that at our regular time at 2 o'clock. And in talking to Mike, we've just had chair reports, the report session. We haven't really had any major agenda items traditionally on that. So that was the next thing to discuss. Is everybody okay with having the board meeting as part of the Monday afternoon session?
That's fine.
I'm shaking my head yes, and I think that you should be able to hear that.
Okay. All right. And then traditionally there's been a hot topics. Gail, I know you've had some really good hot topic stuff that you've been discussing with us in the municipal meetings with the climate change stuff. So that's something we could address during that time. And as Eric Spangenberg pointed out, there are a lot of new technologies out there in the planning realm, in all sorts of different realms. So if anybody has any particular areas that they want to see addressed, or topics that they think that the board should be discussing, there'll be an opportunity there. Dinner at 5:15 and some sort of event at 6:30. Last year was kind of a mini pub crawl, and I think maybe we might do something like that. There's a lot of breweries in Anaconda. I don't know if you all want something different than that or like that idea, but that's what we've discussed so far.
I don't know. Michelle last year turned it into a pub crawl. We were just going to stay at one place. So
What?
just kidding.
I had a lot of willing participants, I think.
Yeah.
I heard it went on until well into the morning. So
Yeah, we closed the bar.
So if you all are good with that, we can do that. There is a state park close by and a couple other real cool things. I guess there's a Jack Nicklaus public golf course there too. So there are some fun things to do in and around Anaconda. If anybody has any ideas, just let me know. Next day on the 20th, start out with breakfast in the morning. Then have a discussion on MGAC. That's been traditionally part of the discussion. And I don't know if, do we traditionally invite anybody from MLAC?
That's not traditionally, that's not a traditional thing. It just happened last year that our meeting happened to fall, our retreat fell on their board meeting where we had to do a, just let them know how we're doing, kind of, just a check-in with Magip at their board meeting. So we just happened to do it during our meeting last year. That's nothing traditional and that's nothing that needs to be done. I mean, that's certainly a nice topic to talk about if anything has come up since then, since they're having a meeting before, on the 15th. But that's nothing traditional or needs to happen or anything like that.
And then we do have breakout sessions for the Big Sky Geocon, member development, and the technical sessions. So have lunch, kind of do a wrap up and adjourn. I had noon for adjourning after talking with Mike. I think it's better that we go on till at least 2 p.m. so we have time for people to get back, but still have a lot of time to just continue to talk about it. I don't know if we've ever done anything like a SWOT session where you talk about your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats for the organization. That's a pretty traditional strategic planning tool. So if you'd be interested in doing a SWOT, we could do like a snowflake card SWOT analysis where we all go through and write down on little note cards what our strengths, weaknesses, opportunity, threats are, and kind of put them into little snowflake diagrams, organize them that way. It's a really good way to attack that type of thought process, organizing what we think those things are into different groups.
That sounds like a group activity.
Yeah, it is. It's, yeah. So anyway, does this sound like a plan? Is there anything you all want to see added to this?
Works for me.
Good.
All right.
I just am curious about the 7 a.m. breakfast. Does the 7 a.m. breakfast go to 8 a.m.? Or are we starting the meetings at 7 a.m. while everybody's having breakfast?
I think my intent was breakfast starts at 7 and people can roll in. We'll probably start sometime later.
Perfect.
TBD.
Thank you. Maybe that depends on the pub crawl the night before.
Yes.
Okay.
All right. Well, thank you all for all your feedback, contributions on the strategic planning session. We'll move on to the request for assistance changes. I just wanted to quickly go through that. These are what we approved and what's been in place. So we lowered the award from $250 to $200. Organizers front the cost and then submit receipts and get reimbursed. The request goes to the president and then is forwarded to the board. Request approval, denial gets updated in the Magip minutes and website. So that's something that we'll need to address in these minutes here, Hillary, is that the billings request was approved. The approval notice will then be given with a templated statement specifying the rules. I've already told Bobby that we're going to have a summary, pictures, event explanation for the use of the money, and also a checklist, or not checklist, but a check-in sign-up sheet for people. So this is what I have in the policy document. It was available in the last two board packets. I just want to make sure everybody's comfortable with this, and then we'll put the policy document in place.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Can we give some kind of broad guideline about how long it would take for approval? Because if the organizer has to front the cost and they don't know that that's been approved, that might be a reason that people wouldn't even try to submit, or they wouldn't want to have a meeting. And I feel like it's only fair to be upfront to say, hey, you have to get this request in like 2 months in advance, because we have to put it in front of the Magip board and approval minutes. Does that make sense? Or is it something that we can approve via email and it could happen like in a couple days?
Yeah, with my experience in the past, I get the receipts out to Nate. It's approved, essentially approved, and he gets me a check fairly quickly. So.
Yeah, I mean, the request will go to the president. The president will send it out to the board via email. Basically, if there is no response, it's checked off as, hey, you've approved it. Basically, if you're not liking this, speak up. Otherwise, if, maybe in a couple of days, if, people don't get, once we don't hear anything, that's basically approved and we move forward.
Okay, so I guess what I'm hearing is if I wanted to have an event, I could email you with the request within a certain amount of time, like a week. It could be approved if nobody says any differently, and then the person that's making the request would be notified that it was approved. Do you see what I'm saying? I'm like, I just want to make sure that we understand what that amount of time is between when the requester makes the request and when the event is actually going to happen and when we approve it. Like, I wouldn't want to plan an event and ask you for the funds, not knowing that I was going to get reimbursed. So I would want to have some kind of guideline about how long it's going to take us as a board to approve that.
Yeah.
I think that needs to be included in the documentation.
Well, and the policy was meant to streamline everything. That was a large intent of it, instead of having to go through a special meeting of the board. And the way it worked with Bobby, we had that information out that day of the request. Michelle had that information out to the board for approval. And unfortunately, I was on vacation the next week, so I wasn't able to get back to Bobby until a week after that. But in most cases, I think that it's a fairly quick process. So
yeah, and I love the idea of it being streamlined. I don't think it should be difficult. I think it just needs to qualify like, yep, we're going to put it out to everybody. Everybody on the board who gets notified has X number of days to respond.
It's 5 days. It's in the policy.
Perfect. That's what I didn't know. Okay, thank you.
Yep. All right. No, those were great questions. Any other questions, thoughts on this policy? Rob, I just let you in to join the meeting. I don't know how long you've been there. Sorry, I wasn't paying attention to that, and maybe that's something I'll address with Zoom here.
That's just fine. My other meeting ended, and I figured you guys would still be talking. Yeah. Thanks for letting me in.
You're welcome. All right. So the GIS discussion, Gail, it is 3 o'clock. We just have 2 agenda items left. I think it will probably go for the next half hour with discussion. Hopefully people are okay staying on. If you're not, just let me know. We'll if we don't have a quorum, we'll just have to adjourn. So sounds like everybody's okay with sticking around. Gail, you wanted to talk about putting together an organized effort from this group on GIS Day, or just more planning for that. I'll go ahead and turn over the discussion to you.
Yeah, thank you. So when I think it was, I'm trying to remember when I saw this. I think it was when I was at the UC. Actually, it was when I was at the UC at the plenary. There was a presentation from a group of young kids about the National Geographic resource, the Map Maker kit that they had. I actually put the link to it in the chat. I was thinking that maybe as one way for outreach for GIS, if we wanted to reach out to elementary school kids, like one school in your neighborhood, this would be a way that we could do it. But it's just one idea. And I'm going to be honest, it's been a long time since I've had to go to an elementary school, but I certainly can think of a couple of young kids in my life that would really benefit from this. It's kind of cool. Uh-oh, it looks like I'm getting an error on the page now, of course. Anyway, I think it would be really cool to engage with the elementary schools on GIS Day in our community, and then also potentially have a meetup. Last year, in Bozeman, MSU had a GIS Day, and they posted on social media, and then our community engagement coordinator saw it, and she had us take a picture, and so we were kind of having this back and forth on social media on GIS Day, which was really kind of fun. And then there was a meetup that we had that day, which I also think would be kind of fun. But I also think it would be nice if we could actually coordinate it across the state, so that if we were having a meetup at a certain place, we could take pictures, and then we could have our social media person help to put some of those pictures out. And I kind of like to get your feedback about how you feel about doing this National Geographic map maker with the elementary schools.
My feedback is we've had a meetup on GIS Day or around GIS Day for the last couple of years in here in Billings. I'd like to see something like that where it's expanded out to be more than just GIS professionals getting together and reaching out to make students aware of GIS and the career field that's out there. It's just my experience with that in the past has been, when it comes to teachers, you have to be 6 months, 10 months out, because they get there with all the testing and things that they're required to meet. They get things locked down in their schedule pretty quick.
What about a coordinated event across the state where each city or local municipality had a location where they could get together? Part of that could be funding that we would use to help pay for that, so we could get that approved in advance, and then we could provide pictures and make those available on social media. It doesn't sound like a lot of people are on board with it. So, I mean, if nobody's going to be like, yeah, let's do this, then I think it's probably better just to couch it.
Sorry, I was looking for the updated link to your map maker kit, I may have found it. I put it in the chat. But no,
Oh,
that sounds
thank
good to
you.
me. Yeah, if other people want to do that, that sounds good to me though.
I can say I've used some of the map maker kit, some of this stuff from National Geographic. I used it when I did a thing with with my kids' elementary school, many years ago, obviously now. But it was something, it wasn't tied into GIS Day. It was actually tied into they had this career college type thing. And so I offered up GIS as a thing. And I used the couple of these map maker templates for some of these things, just to, the puzzle type things to create a, map and all that kind of stuff. It is true, getting into a classroom is always a tricky thing, Gail. I've gone to my kids' opening day, and met with the teachers and told them what I do, and every time they're always very open, and then I follow up, and it's just trying to find a time in their schedule. And they're always appreciative of me offering, but it just never seemed to work. And I think Jason has found a similar thing when he's gone now to his kids' school, and he's reached out and kind of done some things with the elementary class with his two kids now as well. And so, and this is almost something that, what are we at here? We're 2.5 months out. When's GIS Day again? November? 3 months out. So yeah, it's almost something you could lay the groundwork for even the next year's GIS Day type of thing.
Gail, I agree with a lot of the comments so far. I also like your idea.
I love it.
It's really nice. I'd like to maybe, I'm not volunteering, by the way, either. But I think your idea is cool, but it's definitely, it requires a ton of coordination, and especially from our membership, and then from our membership down to local organizations and stuff. So I think that while it's a noble thing, I think it would be, it's difficult. Another thought I had, something that we have done in the past, and it might be, doing something applied, like hosting an open street maps editing session, or, we used to do things like humanitarian GIS type stuff, where you have a meetup, you get people together, and not students, like skilled professionals like our membership, and we do something that contributes to a larger effort. Maybe we'll pick, like, personally, I'm working on power line stuff, right? We could pick an area, a county, an area, state, and map power lines, something of that nature, right? Anyway, it's just a suggestion, a slightly different twist on what you're suggesting, and I just throw it out there for consideration. So in summary, taking our membership, using their skills and enthusiasm to contribute to a large effort.
I love that. That's a great idea. And I do wonder if we could do it at a coordinated time across the state. Is that something that we could maybe do? Is it something that we could include social media to get it out there to all of our people, and include the Magip listserv, so that we could just say, we want people to get together on this day at this time, and have all kinds of instructions already available so that people can be prepared. Bring your laptop, bring your mouse.
Yeah, and you could add even something to it, and it could be as little or as much as can happen. But like, let's say you had 2 teams, right? We got an east side and a west side team. And we do this for 2 hours, right? And we say, who mapped more features?
I'm intrigued by the power lines. I know that I've done OpenStreetMap mapping before.
Oh.
Haven't actually heard of power lines. How did you get involved in that?
Well, I'm currently serving a role as the regional energy coordinator, and what we're doing is working with 60 utilities in the region here, Montana and Idaho, and identifying risks to and from the power lines, and then using that to prioritize forest management treatments across the state. And so when I started this process, inventorying power lines was a challenge, and they don't really exist. There's a Homeland Security data set for transmission lines, but distribution and service lines are relatively non-existent. So I've gathered those from the utilities, but in looking into that, OpenStreetMaps has a fair amount of lines mapped.
I really love that. And partially, Jeff kind of alluded to this earlier. So I attended the Geodesign Summit in April, and was so discouraged to hear about what is happening in our climate much faster than the models have predicted. And I love the idea of helping to support identifying those power and transmission lines that could potentially cause these devastating fires that we're seeing. And I can't think of a better role for GIS Day than something like that. I do feel like streets have, I'm going to want to say it's been done, but I do feel like most of the streets have been mapped. But gosh, this just feels like something really awesome that our community could contribute to. I would be interested to know how everybody else feels.
I'd like to say thanks for your enthusiasm on that, Gail. That's how things happen, right? People get together and do it. Like,
is there a way that you could put a document together on how we could implement this?
to be honest, I mean, I don't know.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I haven't done it myself. The open street mapping
Okay.
thing. But if you do look into, I encourage you just to Google it really quickly, open street map, and then features. And you'll be amazed of like anything you can think of, is out there. It's being mapped. And I believe, you can go through that site and use that to organize volunteers.
It's pretty crazy what AI can pick up anymore in working with the Copia and Nearmap and looking at some of the products they have out there. It's some of the demonstrations I've seen, they've been able to pick up most of the city's poles, and they differentiate between a light pole and a transmission pole. So
yeah, just along other lines like that, the humanitarian GIS type stuff that we've done, there are all kinds of efforts nationally and internationally, like mapping watering holes in the Serengeti, using imagery as your background and things of that nature.
You know what? I would be willing to take this and get something put together and make it something that we would be willing to do on GIS Day. So I think that I identified GIS Day as being November 15th. That's a Wednesday. And maybe we could just send this out through the listserv and just get people to participate as they want.
Yeah. If it becomes successful, we could potentially transition that into like an ongoing citizen science connection.
Yeah, I like that. Well, I'm not seeing a way to find the layers in here, but let me just, again, I'll do,
I'll look it up too.
okay. Yeah, that'd be great.
I know the state library hosted a number of these open street mapathons during GIS Day
Mhm.
type things. It was, kind of like what was, I think Mike said it earlier, right? I think, of course, maybe it was Jeff. But that they did those a couple times. I mean, basically it was a BYOD, bring your own device, or in the one occasion they used the public library here and reserved the computer lab there, and people could use the library computers, and you just logged in and mapped out. In this case, it was a humanitarian effort to map out roads and structures in some African, yeah, right there. Megan just dropped it into chat.
Thank you, Megan.
And we just did
Yeah.
that, and Magip
We've always
paid
gotten
for-
good turnout.
Yeah, Magip paid for pizza, and we brought pizza over. I mean, I actually managed to drag a couple students from Carroll to come and help that day. I think my kids and my wife showed up briefly too. So that was a number of years ago though. So
Yeah, and so in this one, usually there's some you pick a task to do, and they go so quickly that you usually can't pick one until like the day of. And
yeah.
then we've picked one that's more of like a beginner one, like mapping buildings or roads and trails and things like that. And they tend to be in Africa, or if there's like a hurricane or something where they need you to map like the buildings before everything was
Mhm.
decimated. But yeah,
I think
it's a really neat project, and all you need is that OpenStreetMap profile, and it's pretty easy to get started.
Yeah, I think we did the one year we did it, we were doing it to aid in identifying structures and roads for it was part of the humanitarian effort to prevent gosh, I think sex trafficking, kidnapping of children and females in some African nation or something to that effect. So
There's a major
Yeah.
event that just took place in a little island in the Pacific that might need some help.
Maui. That's just heartbreaking. I was just there in May. Yeah. I actually think they have a pretty robust GIS department there in Maui. But yeah, we could definitely do that. So I love this idea, and I love the idea of it being coordinated. And I think that's the one thing that I have felt is missing in the past on GIS Day. Like, it's one thing to identify it as being a GIS Day, but it's another thing for like these little pocket communities to be doing the same thing at the same time, right? Towards something that we all feel is worthwhile. It sounds like we just need to get a how-to put together and encourage people to set a place up. The idea of the library is sort of intriguing to me, mostly because I'm not a beer drinker. And yet the pubs can be a fun place to be. It's fun to be able to have a beer and do some mapping. So yeah, I think that we should move forward with this.
Yeah, I like this. I'm thinking about reaching out to the library director here, Gavin, and seeing what opportunities might, because they have a computer lab here at our library. And you get pizza involved, some treats, show a video on GIS. You could make a huge impact on your community, and sounds like the planet by mapping out some stuff that needs to be mapped, right? So.
Love it.
So, yeah, Gail, if you want to look into that, and we can discuss it as part of the retreat, and get an update there, and start working towards something like that. Seems like a fairly easy lift to get people aware of what they can do geospatially. So.
And Rob, if you don't mind, and Megan, I might reach out to both of you if I have questions, if that's okay.
Sure.
Thank you.
Definitely. I have like all of the documents put together for that. I think it's out on Google Drive too, but
give me an email, Megan. I don't want to remake the wheel here. Thanks.
Mhm.
Thank you, everybody. Great feedback and discussion. Is it all right if we move on to our last discussion point here, or do we want to talk about the web stuff? Do we have time, everybody? We got like 10 more minutes till 3:30. The next discussion topic is the putting together a task force on the website. Do we want to go ahead and start discussing that, move forward with that, or move that to a future meeting?
I have time.
We also have the CD. I forgot we also have the CD discussion as well. So out there.
It's like,
So-
if you bump me again, you have to put me at the front of the agenda next
All
time.
right, go ahead, Megan.
Well, mainly, and we all know and have talked about reviewing the website, and it was suggested that we put together more of a subcommittee / task force to look through and review what we have and start culling and cleaning. And so Mike Powell and I were going to lead that, but yeah, I don't know like how many people you want on the task force, who wants to be involved. The more the merrier, in my opinion. So I think a lot of the links in like the mentoring section, I think that could probably just be reviewed and potentially rethought of how we want to have the mentoring part. It's really hard to maintain links to other people's content.
The last task force we had, I think, is assessing the changed fees, right? Increasing the fees for the organization, and we tried to spread the task force across the state to make sure there are representatives. Do we need to do something like that, or do we just need people that are interested in updating, updating the content on the website, or just interested in the content on the website?
It might be a good idea to send something out just on a listserv or something like that. Say, hey, look, we're looking at revamping the website. Is there any interest? I mean, we're looking for anybody's input to join some kind of task force. If you're interested, let us know, kind of thing. I think we can pull a couple people there. Other than that, we probably just grab, send some delivered emails to some people that we know would be good to be in the meeting itself.
That sounds great to me. I can work with Michelle to get something out on the listserv. Or if you and Megan, if you and Mike want to put together an email, and then we'll get it out on the listserv.
Yeah, totally. I think that'd be the best way to go. Then people could just reach back out to us.
Yep.
And
I was gonna
we'll get her going.
I'll join.
Oh, thanks, Tessa.
One.
There'll be lots of tech content for you to review.
Perfect. Good. No, I'm down.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll get it rolling with an email. I don't know that we need any action. Do you all want to approve it, or do you think we're good to go moving forward just with what's been discussed here? I can't remember if I had an action item, sorry.
I don't really know if we need to do an action item on it, but to be safe, maybe we do. I don't know.
All right, well, let's just do a quick action item. Do I have a motion to approve sending out an email to start this task force website change task force that will be administered by Mike Powell and Megan Burns?
So moved.
So moved by Eric Spangenberg. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Gail. Any discussion? Hearing no discussion, all those in favor state aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Hearing no one opposed, it passes unanimously. Thank you. All right, moving on to the CD discussion. there's been a lot of discussion amongst the board and between people that now is an opportune time to take advantage of the CD and investment rates that are out there with interest rates being so high. And I don't imagine that they're going to stay that high for much longer with the inflation starting to lessen a little bit. Hopefully that continues. Nate, do you want to talk about a little bit about any of the options that we might have with Wells Fargo?
Yes. So I guess currently we have in savings 49,000, almost $50,000. And some of the options with Wells Fargo right now, they have two specials. And they have a 5-month special fixed rate CD, and that is at 4.4%. They also have an 11-month special fixed rate CD at the same rate of 4.4%. So those are their specials. They do have some other options that are kind of well below that interest rate. I think they're around like 2 and 3%. So if we went with a CD, those might be the two timeframes that we could choose from right now.
Is there a minimum amount that you need to invest?
There might be, and it's probably like a couple $1,000s. And I think if we did want to purchase a CD, I think we could do much more than that.
Yeah, I totally, I don't know if you guys saw it, but I put I sent an email in response to this meeting. And, one thing that's come to light recently too is the high yield interest and savings account, which are yielding about the same as the CDs. And we have a substantial amount we could put into that and stay liquid at the same time. So
I did call Wells Fargo at one point and asked about a high interest savings account, and it was pretty bad.
they're bullshit. All the regular banks are bullshit with those. They're like 1.5% or
First
something.
Interstate was really good, but Wells Fargo, it was like maybe 2%.
Yeah, that ain't worth it.
I have one through American Express, and that one is 4.4% right now.
Yeah.
And it keeps going up. I get an email almost monthly. Interest rates are going up.
And there's no limitation on us. As a 501c6, we can invest. So we do have this opportunity.
I mean, it's at that point where I feel like we're doing our membership a disservice by not doing that. So one thing I would think, and you started to go down that road, which is your second and third bullet points here, how much and how long. I think if we go with like a savings or checking, high yield savings or checking account, we could put 90% of it in. If we go with a CD, I would think, let's consider how much do we need, how much liquidity do we need on a, quarterly or annual basis.
And Nate has ideas on that too. So
I ran an expense report. What our expenses were for from August 2022 until February 2023, and we need about $25,000 in cash for expenses for about 7 months. So we could invest 50% of our savings in this CD for 5 months.
And I was seeing that a lot of the opportunities are fairly limited. It's the better interest rates seem to only be available for like a 5-6 month period. Is that what everybody else is seeing, or are you seeing longer term CDs out there?
No, you don't get much more advantage on the longer term. You just get to make that percentage for a longer period of time.
Yeah, the stuff I had looked at, the percentages went down actually the longer you went out. So
right. is there any thought? I mean, okay, so we kind of have an answer. We could do 25,000 for 5 months. That wouldn't hurt anything. Right? That's pretty straightforward.
Yep.
Do we have any interest in, not to delay this anymore, right? Because that's starting to cost us money. But is there any interest in doing a quick review on high yield savings and checkings accounts?
Yeah, I think it's worth it. I mean, if you have those savings account, you don't have to have them in for a fixed term. So it's not like, you can't invest more.
Right. And we could put 40,000 in
Right.
and get 5% on 40,000 and still use that money if we need it.
Right. Because usually you just have to be above like a $20,000 threshold or something.
Yeah, and I think from my perspective, I think it's a kind of, yes, you have to invest the money. I think that's part of our responsibility to the Magip community to invest those funds. But I also think it's important to know what any kind of like if you took the money out sooner, what that would mean in terms of your return investment. I think investing $25,000 in a CD right now is safe. I mean, I think 5 months, it would make it available if we needed it for the conference at all. And it would still leave $25,000 in our savings account that we could, once we decided to move it into a higher yield checking account, or sorry, savings account or checking account, whatever it comes to, we would be able to have access to it.
My big frustration on it all is where to go, because when I put out the email, I found like 2%, something like that, and you all found much better rates. It's like, how do you find what's going to be the best return for the organization? Because you could spend an awful lot of time doing that. So do we want to do that due diligence, or do we just want to quickly get it into like a Wells Fargo CD, or we want to look at other banks, other institutions like Amex, where we can do better, honestly?
We could do both, right? I think Gail just suggested that we could do both. We could pull the trigger right now with our current institution, and then we could pursue the high yield on another institution like American Express, which is also reputable and things of that nature.
Yeah, I think I really like that idea too, getting because 4.4% on a 5-month CD, that is kind of what we're seeing of other places too. So we can't really beat that, and it's safe, and it's something we can do right now. My question is, like, if we do move some money to a high yield savings account, we have $25,000 left in our savings if we put 25 into a CD, and then $5,000 in their checking. So are we moving everything to a higher yield savings account? Or would we want to, I guess.
Well, I think, we start with the CD, and then quickly follow up with the high yield account and do that.
So I think what I'm hearing is we're going to move the 23 or 25K that we don't need right now into a 5-month CD at the 4+% rate, and then we're going to look at other options once that CD expires, whether it's a long-term or a high return savings account, or future investments in a CD or some sort of similar investment product. Is that what
I don't think so. I think that what we're saying, and correct me if I'm wrong, Rob, but I think that we should jump on the Wells Fargo 4.4 and move $25,000 into it, and do that as soon as we can, because we've already established an account with them. And then I think that over the next month, maybe 6 weeks, let's look at what those savings accounts are that are high yield savings or high yield checkings, which either one pays more, and then move maybe $25,000 into that, but then leave the checking account the way it is. That was the way I interpreted it. Maybe other people interpreted it differently.
No, that's the way I interpret it. I just must have said it wrong. So,
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that sounds reasonable to me. And potentially the gears could start moving and we could act at the next month's meeting.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, we could act based on the meeting today. I think we can confirm we want to move forward with the CD in place. We do that. At the next month's meeting, we will have preparations for moving money to a high yield account.
Okay, yeah.
Do I have a motion on that?
I motion that.
All right.
I'll
So Rob
second it.
has motioned that we go ahead and take advantage of the Wells Fargo account that we have and move $25,000 into a CD that's yielding whatever it is, the best rate we can get for 5 months. And then also continue to look at the savings accounts. I forget what you called it, Rob, but the high yield account, savings accounts up for the next meeting. Does that sound okay as a motion?
That sounds very good.
All right, is there a second on that?
I'll second it.
All right, Gail seconds. Any discussion on that motion? This is a big deal, so I'm gonna leave that out for a little bit. All right, I'm not hearing any discussion. We'll go ahead and move to a vote on this. All those in favor, please state aye.
Aye.
I
All those opposed, same sign. Hearing no one opposed, the motion passed unanimously. So Nate, you've got the go ahead to invest $25,000 into a CD at Wells Fargo. And you and I will be working out the other part of it, the savings account, and hopefully have something to discuss at the next meeting. Does that sound fair, Nate?
Yeah, that sounds good. I'll make an appointment with Wells Fargo as soon as
Okay.
possible.
All right, that is it. So thank you all for your patience and your willingness to stay on for an hour and a half in this meeting. Plus, any discussion topics for the next meeting, or is there a motion to adjourn?
I just want to follow up and say thank you to all of the people that did the background research on the financial work. Thanks for that.
Yes, I will second that.
I'll motion to adjourn.
We have a motion for Mike to adjourn. Anyone want to second that?
Second for Mike to adjourn.
I second it.
Second it. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
All right.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion unanimously is approved. Thank you all for all your contributions for this meeting. It was we got a lot accomplished here. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
See everybody at the retreat.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks,
See ya.
everyone.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.